welcome back to the shop, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Got the 96 quad runner back in here, and it's taken me about 2 weeks to track this down. Now, one of y'all probably already know this, and if you do, share with your friends, because it's not real common knowledge. So this machine we got up and running. Remember, we got this one at a yard sale. The nice couple give it to me, and they wanted me to they believed in the mission, you know, to get out there and save these old machines and help others save their machine. And because of that, they gave it to me. But I want you to realize there's a lot more than just getting a machine up and running. All these systems have to be gone through. You know, we drove it off of a Camelback tank or an auxiliary gas tank. That's not fixed. That's just up and running. So we need to go through the fuel system. And so we've done that, or I've done that. We've needed to get a battery for it so it could perform like it's supposed to with an electric start. We need to get a seat for it, so I tracked down a seat out of Nebraska, of all places. eBay is a great resource for used parts. It's people just like me and you, and there are businesses that do it too, that have these machines that maybe we have duplicates of, and you know, parts that we have duplicates of. And so it's a great opportunity to source out a part you need, and generally you can shop around and you can get a pretty good price on it. So we're going to go over the things that I've picked up for this machine. But the big takeaway today, this is pretty big. So if you go to Partzilla and you go to Rocky Mountain ATV, Suzuki no longer makes these brake lines. They are brake hoses. There are three. There are three hard lines, and there are, no, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 hard lines and 3 soft lines, and all 3 of the brake lines were completely shot on this machine. Suzuki no longer makes them. Nobody carries them. You call around, everybody tells you they're discontinued. I got a fix for that. This is the hard line in question, or excuse me, this is the soft line in question, and it's a little short 12-inch length of rubber soft line. It's flex line, you know, whatever you call it, flex line, and it mates into this little hard line. Well, here's the first thing you need to know. These fittings are metric. You knew that, you might have known that, but what size? 10 millimeter. Did you know that there's 2 different kind of ends? There's a bubble end and a non-bubble end. I didn't know that. Things you learn. So I reached out. I had a really busy day at work, and so I reached out to the good folks at Raybestos. They have a chat, you know, on their website. And so here's the part number. I want everybody to know what this is. Call them, tell them that funny guy on YouTube sent you to them. You can actually get this online. I picked these up on Amazon, believe it or not. Amazon carries Raybestos brake lines. You can go Parts Geek, you can go to all those different places, but I'll tell you a little, there's a link in the description. Here's why I'm going to kind of really stress this. If you need these lines, I went to Parts Geek. They were cheaper at Parts Geek, but once they added the shipping, they were considerably more expensive. Amazon had the best price for these. Raybestos Parts, good name brand, 10 millimeter, 12-inch flex line. Has the same connectors. It's going to fit in the same little tabs on the frame. When I get done putting this back together, it's just like that. It's going to look just like factory. I'm amazed. So here's the takeaway on this. You ready? Suzuki ATV brake line, Hummer H3 brake line, General Motors. You know, hey, them's my boys. General Motors right there. Look, fittings are the same. Length is almost exactly the same. There may be about a ½ inch difference. I think we can fudge that ½ inch. But, oh, and cheap. I love that. I love that they're cheap. So, obsolete parts, go to a manufacturer of whatever said part is. If it's something that's somewhat standardized, you may be surprised to be able to find out exactly what you're looking for. Ordered them through Amazon. There's a link in the description. You can't beat it. So that's what I needed for this machine. Brakes was my holdup. Everything else is real simple. I've just kind of disassembled it and kind of set everything out here. Look at this. Look at these dirt dauber nests. I left all this to show you. We haven't even washed this machine yet. I did put a fuel filter in line. Interestingly enough, look how dirty it got. And so it picked up all the sediment. Even though I flushed the tank, I did not flush the fuel pump. This does have a vacuum operated pump, and I think it just had debris in the lines and it floated back through here and trashed up my filter. So we're gonna have to address that too. What else do we get here? Oh, we got an air filter, we got an oil filter, we got all the basic good stuffs for there. So this is the seat that I got out of Nebraska. It's not perfect, it's not OE. Someone's put a seat cover on a seat, and yes, it has a hole in it. But we had this, and so this came down to dollars and cents. To buy a foam and a pad, or excuse me, a foam and shipping costs as much as this entire seat with seat pan and brackets and everything. I can use the seat just like this, or we could recover the seat. A seat problem like this is going to run you about $100. So in this situation, we've got 70 in the seat with free shipping, and we could recover it with a $30 cover and make it look perfect. Now, here's the thing. This machine's not perfect. It will never be perfect. I'm not going to put the money in it to make it perfect. It's not going to warrant being perfect, meaning this machine probably is only going to sell for $1,500 or $1,800. You really got to watch your margins. We're going to do a video on that. But look at these plastics. The plastics are busted up. They're cracked. They're split. They're good, and they're going to wash up fine, but they're going to show, you know, damage. They're not going to show as nice as a brand new seat on there. It just doesn't warrant a new seat. You have to pick your battles when you know, put anything back on into service like this. Our plastics are broken here. It just, you know, that's a little nitpicky. I've taken the liberty here. This rubber flap was broken on this side, so I just trimmed it out. Just trying to, you know, make lemonade out of some lemons here, guys. We're not restoring this machine. So I came to this side, and it was broken here on the back, and I trimmed it out and just made a match. Just working with what we have. It looks more presentable trimmed like that than jagged or going to cut you if you walk past it. Little things. I did tell you that I went back to the sellers, or the givers in this point, at this case, and he had the hood. He had the trunk or hood, battery cover, whatever you want to call it. He had it. I asked him for it, and he said he got it. He said he just forgot to give it to me the day I picked up the machine, and we picked up a new battery, and it's heavy. And so we have a new battery, and so that's all we needed. We already had it running. So basically, brake lines, a good service, air filter, spark plug, oil change, oil filter, new seat, which will just pop right back on. And I did put a master cylinder on here thinking that that was the problem initially. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on here because the other master cylinder looked really bad. So we did add a master cylinder. I'm going to do a breakdown on the screen here of everything I put into this machine. Even a free machine costs you money. Don't ever lose sight of that. A free machine is always, there's always a cost. And so I'm happy to have this one. I'm hoping you're taking the right pointers away. I went through the brakes on this thing. Someone has put new brakes on it, and I think they were chasing a collapsed line. They put new shoes on it, and it looked like even new wheel cylinders. But they had adjusted the brakes out so far that riding it, if I leaned back, the front tires would skid. That's how much braking it was trying to apply. But as you see now, the tires roll like they're supposed to. The brakes aren't dragging. It's going to be a nice machine. It shows 1,000 hours, just over that. Excuse me, 1,000 miles. We got a mile here, and I guess that would be a trip when that's adjustable. You can reset that back to 0. That'd be kind of neat. The new owner can kind of log his own miles. 1,000 miles on an ATV. That doesn't sound like a lot of use. The story I got from the couple that give it to me is he had it at a hunting club, and he got it from a guy that had it at the same hunting club. They hunt and club together. And so what I'm thinking is it's very possible this thing was bought relatively new and was put into service at the hunting club. Remember, 1996. That's how old it is. It could have spent most of its life at a hunting club, which means that it's probably only used a couple times a year. Hunting season, of course, and then maybe in the spring planting season. You know, it's hard to say, but if you look at, now nothing's been washed, nothing's clean, but look at the shine that's here on the control arms, you know. It's sit a long period of time just from the dirt daubers that are on it, like that one. The leaves, look how the leaves have gotten under all of these plastic bits and pieces. This is the tarp remnants of the tarp that were underneath the dash. Just kind of wild that'll leak into these little nooks and crannies like that. Overall, this machine probably, aside from the plastics and the fenders, you know, probably busted up, it's just probably an 8 out of 10 machine. Original tires, they are a little dry rotted, but not bad. Plenty of tread left on them. If you were going to use this around your property, or take it to your hunting club, it's the great machine to do that. So let's get to work. Let's get these parts on this machine. Let's get this machine down. We'll get it cleaned up, and we'll get it to marketplace, and we'll pass it on to the next owner, and hopefully they will get a lot of years of use out of it. If it's not one thing, it's another. Sometimes you just kind of jump off into a situation, you just don't know how you're going to find your way out of it. You just got to keep your head down and keep pushing through. And so that's clearly, getting this running was not the problem. Getting this stopping has been the problem. The front brakes were really acting quite weird. The pads seemed like they were too big for the machine, and that's really odd. Riding the machine, once we got it running, it would push the front tires with no brakes applied whatsoever. And so I tore it back apart, and I'd already put on a new master cylinder, because the master cylinder that was on this had no resistance at all. So I put a new master cylinder on it, and I thought, got this licked, have a video, bang this thing out, get it back on marketplace, and we'll do a quick flip. No, that didn't happen. What happened next was I still didn't have any brakes. And so I pulled the drums off of, and I had to beat the drums off of this thing. And they were brand new shoes, brand new wheel cylinders in there. Everything was new, but none of it worked. And so I said, well, I got new fluid, I got new soft lines, and I got a new master cylinder. There's only one more component left to this. So I started doing some looking around, and I found a kit, and I'll put a little link or a little description of it somewhere on the video. And I started looking at the reviews, and the reviews were terrible. Like 9 out of 10 people said they sucked. I thought, that's pretty bad. So I wanted to look, and these were new, and I had to kind of put 2 and 2 together that whoever owned this or whatever shop they took it to, because I have a feeling they had somebody work on it for them, put a new kit on here, but the shoes are too big. And here's what the reviews are saying. They were saying this is one side of your brake shoe, if you're unfamiliar with it. They sit like this, kind of on a pin. This is a Honda. Let's not get bogged down in the details here. This is a Honda brake shoe. We're going to use it for demonstration purposes. On the Honda, they sit on a pin, and there's a plunger at the top. It's called a wheel cylinder. It looks like this. And when fluid pumps into that, it causes the shoe to push outward, and then that rubs on the outside of the drum, and that's where your brakes come from. If you didn't know, now you do. So Amazon, the reviews say that the shoes are too big. When you put your new shoe on and you take your drum and slide over it, the drum would drag and cause the front tires to completely lock up with no brakes being applied. No matter how you adjusted them, there are tension adjusters in here that kind of preload and push the shoe out. You could take those adjusters and move them all the way in. The shoe still rubbed. Some guys went as far as to actually file down this outer material. Don't do that. It's asbestos. You probably don't want to breathe it. Bad stuff. So here's what I did, and here's how I accomplished. This right side's completed. How we got a smooth running wheel and functioning brakes. So what we ended up having to do is I took my favorite tool, cutoff wheel. You can do this with a grinder. You can do this with a bench grinder, a hand grinder. You can do this with a file. You could rub it on the concrete if you wanted to. But here's how I did it. So you've got, on the Suzuki, there's a little post that sticks out. It looks like a little blade, like my fingers. And it indexes into the master cylinder at the top of the shoe. What I did is I came to the bottom, and on the Suzuki, it's tapered, it's angled. It doesn't have this recess for a post. And what I did is I took my grinder and I came in here and I just shaved it down about the thickness, about a 1/16 or a little less. I mean, we're just talking a little bit. It's one of those jobs where you kind of want to sneak up on it. You don't want to take off too much because you can't put too much back. So I started with just the width of my cutoff blade on my 4.5 inch cutoff wheel, and I just shaved off the very bottom of it, and then I reset it. It drug a little bit less, I shaved it again, and I'm doing both shoes now. You do the front shoe and the back shoe the same. So reassemble, take your drum, slide it on, and try to spin it. If you cannot spin it with the preload taken out, you need to take another swipe or another cut just off the bottom. Do not cut the top. The reason is because the top is adjustable and it's preset for the width and the size of your master cylinder. So that's how I made these brakes not drag. So if you got the Amazon kit, and because it says it fits, but it doesn't, and your brakes are too tight, don't shave the pad off. Shave the actual shoe body itself to where they sit a little closer inward. That would make the circumference a little smaller, and therefore it wouldn't rub on your drum. So I thought with the new master cylinder, new rubber lines, and a little trimming on the shoes, I had this project licked. We were done, we were finished, everybody was happy. We were all wrong. That's not the problem. Well, it was not all of the problem. The rest of the problem came down to wheel cylinders on this machine were bad. They would not come out. They were not rebuildable. I couldn't get them apart to clean them. I tried cleaning them. I tried everything I could do to try to save them. I couldn't do it. So I ended up ordering a pair. I've already installed one on the right side here of new wheel cylinders. Now, older machines, brake fluid attracts moisture out of the air. This is Florida. We have a lot of moisture in there. You can wring a cloud out around here. I mean, it gets bad. So more than likely, master cylinder, probably the seal around it started getting cracked and dry rotted with age and so forth, and let air and moisture into the master cylinder. That accumulated all the way down through the system. It rotted out the hard lines, it rotted out the soft lines, it rotted out the master cylinder and the wheel cylinders. So we have, in essence, redone this entire front braking system, but that's all that's the last thing this machine needed. We're already running, driving, the rear brakes are fine, there's no issues there. It shifts. No issues with the fuel pump. Thank goodness. That was something else that we were going to have to tackle if it didn't work, but it seems to work fine. One other issue with moisture that came up with this machine, and I'm out riding it in the backyard, and I'm just, you know, I'm getting a little comfortable with it because it rides pretty different. We're going to discuss that next time we go on a ride with it. As I'm scooting through the backyard and I floor it, and when I floor it, I break the throttle cable. Never had that happen before, and it didn't break here at either end, like the berry come off at either end. No, it had rusted all the way into in the center. I go back to the carburetor and pull half of the cable out, and I go to the thumb throttle and pull the other half of the cable out. I've never seen that happen, so I had to order an aftermarket cable. It's a tad long, but you know, it works. It's about 3 inches too long than the factory one. But those are little things that you're gonna, when you bring one of these things back from the dead that's been sitting for years, moisture, condensation, rust, those are real things to look for. We find them in carburetors, we find them in the braking system. Everything starts to kind of seize up. Let's go together. I'm gonna do the left side with you and kind of show you what it went through. It's a really quick process. It's a little messy. Master cylinder is gonna puke fluid all over the floor. Go ahead and prepare for that. You can pinch the line on the soft side, but I'm not going to. It took me too long to find those, and I would hate to pinch that line and it not come back. So you do that on your own. A lot of guys that just pinch a rubber line, and 99% of the time you get away with it. I'm not going to, because I don't want to risk it. All right, guys, we got problems. This is my last video, guys. This is it. It's been tough. Suzuki, don't buy them. Buy this one for me, and then don't buy any more. I won't be buying it. Remember, I got this one for free. It's cursed. It's trouble with a big T. Wow, a free four-wheeler given to you by some really nice folks has kicked my butt. You think you got it figured out, you order a part, you wait a week, you put it on, guess what? You're wrong. Yeah, that's only part of the problem. You figure out what the next problem could be in the chain, you order that part, you wait a week, you put it on, you try to make a video, no, strike three. Yeah, we got it running, and that's the difference between running and driving with its own systems. Meaning, we had this thing, it didn't have a battery in it, we had jumped it off with a battery charger. The fuel system wasn't cleaned out, the fuel system wasn't working. We were running it off of a Camelback fuel tank, which is available at 223cycles.net if you want one. I love mine, I use it on every project. This machine was bad off, and this is just, you know, you roll the dice. We brought it in, we got it running. Where do we stack up today? I'm going to list all the parts that I've thrown at it, because at one point in this process, that's all I was doing was guessing. So starting up front, we got a new battery, and we got some new hardware to hold our battery in, and a new lid for the trunk there. Got some new hardware holding it in. We needed a brake system up front. I will cut this video up and you will see that the unobtainable front brake lines on this come from a H3 Hummer. They're $15 a piece. They're available at Amazon. Follow the link in the description below. We have great brakes. We ended up putting a master cylinder on the front, 2 new brake lines. I have made this video 4 times, guys. I really think I have it fixed. I think I'm done with it, and it just craps out before the video's over. It's the smoothest riding ATV I have ever ridden in my life, and I've ridden quite a few. It has independent rear suspension, and if you don't think that makes a big deal, that makes a huge difference. Working our way back, we needed a new soft line. You can pick these up, they're cheap. I just measured the original. There is a divider or a splitter underneath the battery here. It's probably about 26 inches difference. We ended up going with a new soft line here, went down to the original hard lines to 2 more soft lines underneath. That gave us front brakes. The rear brakes has always worked. Remember, the seat on this thing was eaten by a horse? Yeah, the whole top of it came out. I actually just went on eBay. You can find seats there from me and from other people that have good usable seats. This seat does have a little hole in the top of it. It could be recovered. I'll let the next person handle that. I'm done with it. I don't want to see this machine ever again, ever again, ever again. But what else did we have to do? Well, the fuel system was completely garbage. Suzuki, I don't know what you're thinking. You're probably not with us anymore, but if you are, this was a bad idea. I'm just telling you. A vacuum operated petcock, a vacuum operated fuel pump. What else could they make this poor thing do other than just run? They put a larger gas tank in here. It probably holds an extra gallon of gas, and to do that, they had to lower the tank. They actually had to make the tank taller and then set it lower in the chassis. That's why they needed the fuel pump. Why did they need a vacuum-operated petcock? Just to cause people like me a lot of grief. That's what I just traded out. I just swapped out the petcock now. Here's a little trick. Raise the back of the machine as high as you can get it safely. And I just took some old wheels and tires and stacked them up and tipped the machine forward, drained all the gas that I could, and then that took the rest of the gas to the front of the tank. I could pull the petcock, swap it out. There's going to be a link in the description for the petcock I put in here. It's off a newer Suzuki. It's the exact same petcock, but no vacuum opening and closing. That was the last problem. I thought I had this one fixed. Ended up having to put a carburetor on here. I screwed that up. In the process of taking the old carb out, I broke one of the little ears. that hold the float, and you ain't getting around that. So we had to start with a new carb. So I put a new carb on it. That's on me. Oil filter, air filter, check the differentials. They were fine. That's it. This engine had, I think if you go back to the first video, 178 PSI compression. This machine really, it pulls good. I've made it 4 laps around the track, and that's when the fuel pump would run out on me. Oh yeah, I put a fuel pump in it. Yeah, we've done basically everything external of the engine has been gone through and replaced. Fuel system, the electrical side of things. It's all been redone. But here's the biggest thing: this vacuum operated petcock was killing me. And that's it, y'all, and it's cold. It runs great. It ran great from day one when I got it. The problem was it wouldn't stay running. It's always something. Well, I think we figured it out. Let's get this thing off the lift and go for a ride. But it does everything you're supposed to do now. It purrs like a kitten. Oh, let me tell you about my lift here. I get a lot of comments about my lift. This may even have been in the previous version of one of these videos. I talked to the guys at Harbor Freight, and that hydraulic table, it's called a lift table, or a paper table, some people call it. Now, mine's wore out, but mine's 4 years old, and I use it every day. You're probably not going to use it as much as I use mine. They're going on sale in October. Look for one of those parking lot sales or something at Harbor Freight. You may be able to get it online too, I'm not certain. But they're telling me that table is going to go on sale for $199. It just really, if you've got a small space like I do, and you've got a couple of machines you want to move around, the lift tables are good. And I don't make a dime off of them. This is just how much I like that table. So I'm going to take it off the table. We're going to put it on the track. I'm probably going to put some headphones in. I'm feeling pretty confident this time. It's got to make 4 laps. That's the record it's made, is 4 laps around the track. This morning, fall is they call this fake fall. You know, that first week you get where it feels great. Yeah, and then tomorrow it's going to be like 108. Yeah, so this is false fall, and it's great. Today I think it's going to cap out at about 87. Let's put some laps on it. We got to beat 4 laps, and I'm going to call it fixed. We're going to wash it and give it a bath, and if you're in the North Florida area, you're going to see it on Marketplace. All right, let's go for a ride. All right, let's wrap this video up. I got to see. I want to see this thing go. Sometimes you just get a machine that you just don't get along with, and I have not been able to get past this one. I come out here and I try to work on something else, or try to make some more videos, and in the back of my mind, it's like, well, maybe it's this. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe check that. You know, maybe you need to do. Maybe you did something wrong. You know, go back through it. I got to get rid of this. This is an Achilles heel. I said earlier I won't own another one in this video, and I'm going to double down on that. I won't even let somebody give me one of these. If this is your favorite machine, bless you. You can have them all. I just don't want it. Every time I think I have it fixed, it burns me. So here's the plan. It's been a month, 6 weeks maybe, of dealing with this thing, trying to get it out of my life. And I think it's fixed. We're gonna fire it up. It's gotta make 10 laps on the track. I said it's gotta beat 4. If we can go 10 laps on the track, and let me tell you, the track, we just had a major hurricane. Hurricane Helene just came through here. We got so lucky, it went east and dodged us. We really didn't suffer any damage, but the places that it did hit, it was a category 4. It was 130 mile-an-hour winds. It just devastated a lot of Florida, and it just continued all the way up. So our hearts go out to those, especially in Tennessee, the flooding. We're praying for you. Y'all stay safe, and you know, just hold your family tight. That's really all you can do in a situation like that. We get complacent when they come to our direction and then turn and go, oh, they're not that big a deal. It's a big deal. And so for those of y'all that are affected, I know Atlanta got a lot of rain, Tennessee, North Carolina, y'all just be careful and just, you know, hold on to one another and remember what's important, and that's your family. So with that being said, it's going to go 10 laps, or we're going to part it out. If it goes 10 laps, then I'm going to sell it. If it doesn't, I'm going to cut it up. All right, it made it 10 laps. It did cut off when I stopped to move the camera one time from idling, but I beat the tar out of it, so take it for what it's worth. We're gonna put it on Marketplace and we're gonna let it go. I kid a little. I don't want to work on this. I don't want to work on another one like it. I think there's parts of it that are really good. I got to tell you, this is the smoothest riding ATV I've ever ridden. I don't have a lot of experience with independent rear suspension. I really never put a lot of stock in it, to be honest with you. Solid axle is just always stronger, so I always kind of lean that way. But this rides really good. I know it's an older machine. The modern machines are probably a lot better. There's no comparison. But if you're in the market for an older, cheap machine, and you're an older fella, you're not going to be jumping it and mud bogging it. Independent rear suspension is actually not bad. This one, you know, it's got 1,000 hours on it, or 1,000 miles on it, excuse me. No clicks, no bangs, no pops. I can't see anything wrong with it. It rides really good. The only problem with this machine from a sport situation is it pushes the front end awful. You turn the bars and it just wants to plow straight into the corner and straight through the corner. Other than that, if you drove it like it was meant to be driven, it's a fine design. I think this one just, for whatever reason, they're just not all the same. You know, they always say buy your cars, you want a car that was made on Wednesday, because the guys are ready to get off work on Friday and the guys really don't want to be there on Monday. So the best car to buy is a car that was built on Wednesday. Maybe this is a Monday morning ATV. Maybe this one rolled off the line Monday morning and the builders just weren't top notch. They weren't on their game. But anyways, it runs and drives. I think it's a good example of a 30-year-old quad that you bring back this from somebody's backyard. We've had some fun with it, and it was fun riding it today, and I'd ride it again. It's not awful. It just needed a ton of work, a lot more than it should have, I think. The vacuum operated petcock kind of threw me for a loop. I think the bulk of the problems really stemmed from the carburetor. Had I been able to get a quality carburetor, I don't think I would have had as many problems. But having to work with this one has just kind of been problematic, to say the least. But you know, it runs, it drives now. I'm ready to see it go. I'm going to pop some pictures of it. I'm going to put it on Marketplace, and let's try to move this thing in a couple of weeks. Speaking of things for sale, some of y'all do know that I have an eBay store, MRC Builds on eBay. You can go into sellers and then look for that, or you can click on the link down in the description, take you right to the store. I'm going through a lot of inventory. I'm getting rid of a lot of parts, trying to make some more space. I will not be parting this machine out, but there are a lot of machines that are parted out. You'll find stuff on there. I'm trying to liquidate a property, so there's some collectibles on there, but there's a lot of 3-wheeler and 4-wheeler parts on there. Just go to that category when you go to the eBay store. That's it. That's a wrap. You will not see this on the channel again. I promise. Y'all have a good day. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, those of you that are displaced by Hurricane Helene, our hearts go out to you. Hold on, there's 2 more storms coming. I'm not a weather guy, but they are saying 2 more are coming in the next 3 weeks. So it's something we got to be careful about and keep an eye on. So that being said, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.